distinguished members of the transitional government, members of the Sudanese political community, and distinguished guests. Let me start by expressing my thanks to Dr. Girshab and the Regional Center for Training and Development of Civil Society for this invitation to contribute to what is, I believe, going to be a very important conference. Thank you for having me speak on behalf of the Forum of Federations. The people of Sudan deserve congratulations for their courage and their desire and ambition to rebuild a Sudan that is anchored in the ideals of freedom, peace, and justice. You don't need me to tell you that Sudan stands at a critical juncture in its political history. As it democratizes and federalizes, the actions of all Sudanese stakeholders will determine its future. You know as well as I do that Sudan is not the first country to undergo this double transition, but it has the advantage of learning from the successes and also of the failures of those who tried before. The constitution and political system that Sudan gives itself should be rooted in its own culture, historic, and socio-economic realities. And to this extent, the outside world can only provide lessons and serve as an inspiration. Between 2006 and 2011, the Forum worked with senior policymakers and civil society on the implementation of the federalism aspects of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement and provided technical and sectoral expertise on federal governance. The Forum Federations is therefore honored to be part of this conference and to re engage with the Sudanese people. We know that on its own, federalism is not a solution to all the problems that Sudan faces. But federalism can be an important tool for managing conflicts arising from diversity. Social, economic, ethnic, and linguistic diversity are a reality in most countries around the world. These are traditional markers of identity along which groups have politically mobilized from time to time across the world. Several federations, like Belgium, India, Nigeria, Ethiopia, some de facto ones like Spain, and older federations like Switzerland and Canada, were so established as federations to deal precisely with issues of social and ethnic diversity. Federal systems provide a useful framework for sharing constitutionally assigned powers between different levels of government, representing different regions and often different ethnic, religious, or linguistic groups. It is therefore more and more a critical part of the solution to underlying conflicts in many, many countries around the world. This is why the Forum of Federations, originally founded by the established historic federations, has become more and more involved in transitions like the one that Sudan is undergoing now. We know there is great opportunity and promise in transition, but also a lot of fear, competing agendas and visions, a good measure of chaos, and often ongoing conflict and disagreement. Therefore, our work in transitional countries is varied, exciting, and unique to each situation, and based on what the Forum can best contribute with its local partners. I therefore need to add some caution. The process of political change is not linear, nor is it quick. In the United Kingdom, for example, the development of representative government lasted 700 years, from the Magna Carta to women getting the right to vote. It is important to recognize that it takes time to build new institutions and develop a new political culture, and sometimes there can be setbacks along the way. The important thing is to ensure that all stakeholders in Sudan's political system remain engaged and interested in a common outcome that meets the aspirations of the Sudanese people, even when they disagree on specific issues. In my experience, writing a new constitution always takes longer, and its implementation is always more complex than people assume at the outset. I'm not saying this to be pessimistic, but rather to flag up front that it is important to be realistic about what outcomes can be achieved during a particular time frame. Over the last decade and more, the Forum has had the privilege of working to support several countries going through a process of democratization, federalization, and decentralization. Please allow me to list a few. Following the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia in 2011, Tunisian leaders approached the forum not to consider federalism per se, but to see what lessons that country could learn from federations dealing with extreme inequalities of income between richer and poorer regions. We therefore worked with the Constituent Assembly to help draft sections of the Constitution that created elected local governments, and have over the years trained numerous public servants and politicians and civil society on understanding how decentralized systems work. Since the end of the civil war in Nepal in 2006, the Forum first worked with the Constituent Assembly on constitutional design and has worked more recently with governments at all levels on creating better intergovernmental coordination by helping establish robust mechanisms for intergovernmental relations that improve service delivery and meet the aspirations of the Nepalese people. In Pakistan, following their constitutional reforms of 2009-2010, we worked with federal and state governments to establish mechanisms for intergovernmental relations. Since 2018, the Forum has been working with the Secretary General's Special Representative in Cyprus to help explore options for creating decentralized and resilient institutional systems under the UN mandated two unit federation model. In Myanmar, between 2011 and the recent coup, the Forum has worked closely with government and ethnic armed organizations and civil society to educate stakeholders on possible federal arrangements for the future. While current events in that country preclude engagement on the ground, it is my strong conviction that for Myanmar to remain a country that is at peace with itself after 70 years of conflict, federalism remains the only viable option. In Somalia, a country, as you all know, is still coming out of its status as a failed state, we are working to build both technical expertise but also a deeper and wider consensus among the political elite and society on what type of federal arrangements will work for sustainable peace and good governance in their very unique circumstances. Also, next door to you in Ethiopia, the Forum has been supporting a national dialogue among all political and ethnic stakeholders on reconciling their sometimes competing views of what a federal Ethiopia should look like. This year, the Forum began working with the Philippines government and the newly established Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Mindanao to support the establishment of institutions for intergovernmental coordination. Because federalism is more than just a set of technical options, the Forum also focuses on how we can strengthen the enabling environment to create a successful political culture that nurtures federalism during transitions. More and more in transitional countries, we are putting dialogue methods and strategies at the forefront of our efforts to find workable solutions and solutions that are sustainable. Focusing on problem solving, relationship building, developing visions and consensus are critical to finding the right solutions as well as to making them work. In several countries, we are helping to develop leadership networks and the capacity to build new visions for working effectively across social and economic and political fault lines. In Morocco, Jordan, and Tunisia, the Forum is working with local partners to strengthen the role of women in the political process. Indeed, gender equality has become more and more mainstreamed in all of our work. In the last 2 decades, the Forum has worked in close to 40 countries, both established federations but also new and emerging ones. There is literally no area of federal governance that we have not worked and published in extensively over the years. The Forum has worked and published on issues as wide ranging as constitutional design, fiscal federalism, intergovernmental relations, federal capitals, local government, natural resources ranging from rivers to oil to land management, as well as in key policy areas such as disaster management, language policy, healthcare, education, and much more. In doing our work, we draw on an exceptionally wide and deep network of experts from dozens of different countries. Since our founding, Australia, Brazil, Canada, Ethiopia, Germany, India, Mexico, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Switzerland have become members. And we are currently talking to Nepal, Argentina, and Somalia about membership. We hope that in the years to come, we will have the privilege of welcoming Sudan to our family. So, with that introduction, let me leave you all with a message on behalf of the forum. We are very excited and feel obligated to re engage our Sudanese partners in the coming months and years. We encourage you all to talk to our local colleague, May Taha, who is present with you this week and who is at this moment drafting a strategy paper on how the forum can support the process in Sudan in the short and the long term. Finally, we look forward to sharing more events with you once we are fully established in Sudan and working with as many partners as possible. Let me end by saying that I am not here to advocate for a particular model of governance or a set of institutions. The people of Sudan must decide for themselves what institutions meet their aspirations for the future. The Forum of Federations is here only to support the Sudanese people with comparative global expertise and to help them in their journey as they transition. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all good luck.